Welcome to the 700 Club Canada. You know, Giving Tuesday is coming up. Lots of opportunities to give to different organizations and ministries. Bill, I have a question for you.
Okay.
What do you like to give to?
Well, that's a great question. I think there are two kind of criteria.
Okay.
The first is obviously something I'm passionate about, something that tugs at my heartstrings. So I always love giving to kids because it was through a kids ministry that my mom came to faith and our whole family.
Yeah.
But then I also like to give to things that have an eternal impact. And so things that have a lasting impact beyond just the temporary. I think a lot of times we think of temporary needs, but there are things that we can sow into that last for a really long time, and that's what I'm looking for usually.
I'm with you on both of those accounts.
Yeah.
And today there's some really great stories. We have Murphy and Melissa. They got out of six-figure debt. Now that might ring a bell with some people watching.
That's big.
Yeah.
And Mitch and Megan are going to tell us a story how they credit God for their success in their own life and finances.
And you are going to have a teach today. Giving versus getting. I can hardly wait.
Yeah, I hope it encourages you. But first, we're joined by Stacey Campbell from Prison Fellowship Canada to talk about the impact that your generosity will have on many lives this year.
Well, Stacey Campbell, you are no stranger to 700 Club Canada. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Lori. Great to be here.
Well, Stacey is the president and CEO of Prison Fellowship Canada, and you've worked with people in prison and their families for years, Stacey. It must have its challenges. What keeps you encouraged in your ministry?
There's two areas really that help us to be, for myself to be encouraged, but also our full staff to be encouraged, Lori. And that is, number one, we work on the ground. All of our staff are in the prison. They're in the streets and working with families and victims as well. And I think that being immersed in the ministry ourselves really helps to keep us encouraged. And that's where we see the impact and transformation. And they aren't somebody else's stories. They're stories that God allows us to participate in.
Well, I think that's the truth of it. Like, if you're at front lines and you're actually looking people in the eye and experiencing their story with them, that makes all the difference, doesn't it?
For sure.
Well, you have a special program called the Angel Tree Program. And can you just tell us what is it and who is it for?
It would be my pleasure. The Angel Tree program serves to make a connection between the parents who are incarcerated and the children who have an incarcerated parent. So the program is initiated by the incarcerated parent, mom or dad, who fills out an application for their child to receive a gift. And in addition to that, they will write in their own handwriting, they will write a gift tag on that application. So the program is meant to, it's not about the gift so much as it is about the connection between the two. We know that prisoners are less likely to reoffend if they are engaged and have a connection with their family. And we know that children are more inclined to do better in academics. They are more inclined to reach out socially and interact with their peers when they have a connection with a parent. So we rely on the local church and individual sponsors who come along and sponsor those applications, and then a gift is purchased, wrapped, and the parent's gift tag is put on the present, and then that's delivered directly to the child.
Wow, that is beautiful. Because I'm sure that Christmas, like many holidays, would be an extra challenge if you had an incarcerated parent or you were the one incarcerated with not being able to be with your children. So what a wonderful program that is. When you sponsor a child with Angel Tree, so what does the child receive then? You described that they get a gift. Is this a gift that maybe the parent picks out for the child? Is it that personal, or how does it work?
So that's right, Lori. There are some variations in it, but the the inmate will specify on their application the name of their child, the age, and a suggested gift for them. And then we interact with the caregiver, whoever the child is in the custody of, whether it's a spouse or a grandparent or perhaps an aunt or uncle, that type of thing. So then we will connect with them, make sure that they're willing to accept the gift, and then we'll discuss what the gift suggestion is. And sometimes we make an adjustment, but oftentimes we're able to get what the parent is asking for.
That must be so fun to play Santa Claus in kids' lives, you know? Does it feel a little like that?
It does feel like that, and after you've done it, when you've delivered a gift, I mean, it stays with you. I remember the first gift I ever got, and it was a little boy, and his caregiver, it was his grandma, answered the door, and the little boy, and I said, "Oh, here's a gift from your dad," and it was just this, oh, he remembered me.
Yeah.
And I think the whole gift kind of fades into the background. It's that connection and that realization that I belong, and my friends are having Christmas, but I'm having Christmas too. I'm worthy as a little kid, and that's the part that doesn't leave you.
Oh, I bet that would be so amazing. And what a blessing that you and your team are really the frontline workers in this ministry. Like, you get right in there, and the distribution of gifts, and it's so personal. I just love that about Angel Tree. I'm sure there's many stories that you could tell us, Stacey. I mean, you've been doing this for how many years has Angel Tree been around?
Angel Tree's been around for since the 80s, for sure.
Okay, wow.
I've been participating for 11 years, but it's been around since the 80s.
That is beautiful. Can you tell us one personal story of maybe a family that was blessed through Angel Tree and what happened?
For sure. One of my favorite stories happened, I believe it was last year, there was a father at home with 4 kids, and didn't know where mom was, didn't actually know if mom was even living or alive. She struggled with a serious addiction issue and had not been heard of in years. So unbeknownst to dad and the boys, mom was in jail and attending a Bible study, one of our Bible studies. And when Christmas came around, she filled out an application for her 4 boys. And so on Christmas morning, they opened the gift, and not only did they get a gift and knew that mom was thinking about them, but they knew mom was alive.
Wow. Oh my goodness, that is so moving. That must have just transformed their family.
Yeah, I can hardly say the story, Lori.
Oh.
Every time. I think I've shared the story a number of times, but it really gets me every time.
Oh, well, that's what it's all about, right, Stacey? Like, and the fact that she was in your Bible studies, I mean, your ministry is doing such an amazing job and changing so many people's lives. And well, that's why 700 Club Canada loves to partner with you, because we really believe that you are the frontline workers doing significant ministry and going places that most of us can't go, right? Most of us can't go into the jails or make these connections.
That's right.
Yeah, so this Angel Tree initiative, here's what I'm so excited about. Giving Tuesday is, coming up. It's next Tuesday. And our initiative is we're partnering together, 700 Club Canada and your ministry, and our goal is to sponsor 700 children, Stacey. $35 a child is what we're asking our viewers to give. And we want to send gifts to 700 children. I'm so excited I can jump out of my chair right now. I want to be in every living room. I want to be in every home to see the looks on these kids' faces. What would you say to our viewers is a reason for joining us in reaching this goal?
I think the number one reason is that really we're joining God in his mission, mission of redemption and reconciliation and connection among these families, so that he can bring hope and healing into these families. So we're joining him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. How many families will be transformed because of this Angel Tree initiative? I thank you so much, Stacey. For our viewers to get involved, you have to go to 700club.ca/Giving Tuesday. Now, I'm just reminding you, we're looking for 700 people to give a $35 gift. Right, Stacey? That's all it takes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lori. Yes.
Well, we are praying for more than 700, but I'm leaning forward. If you can just hear it in my voice and you can see it on Stacey's face, will you join us in God and what He is doing in Giving Tuesday? Go on 700club.ca/Giving Tuesday. Don't delay because it's Friday now. Tuesday's coming. Thank you, Stacey, so much. God bless you.
Thank you, Lori.
And now here's a story of one couple who found a way out of six-figure debt. Wow.
Like so many couples, Murphy and Melissa Stewart's marriage was being torn apart by money problems. It started when they came into their marriage with a combined six-figure debt load.
We had a lot of friends that we hung out with that really, that drove cars, went on vacations, and spent money frivolously. It's something that we wanted to do too.
It really caused a lot of hardship and burden in our marriage.
After they married, Melissa left her bank job to return to school. She also took out a loan to pay for it. They were now stuck with paying back thousands of dollars.
And so on top of the $7,000 in debt, our credit card debt, we also had $30,000 of school debt that my wife accrued, and also we had IRS bill debt and medical debt.
And it was just like this never-ending cycle, of just insanity.
By 2012, they knew they needed God's help and started going to church. They also began learning about financial stewardship and tithing.
I was now immediately on board, absolutely, because I realized that something needed to change.
Then Murphy lost his bank job. Now they were both out of work and using credit cards to get by. One night at church, they were prompted by God to give a sacrificial offering.
And it was actually some of our recycle cans money, some of the last cash that we had on hand. And we both felt like that was confirmation, like, okay, God is with us. He's going to take care of us.
The Stewarts began tithing from Melissa's new part-time job and Murphy's unemployment benefits. Within a month, Murphy was hired as an account manager at a bank.
But I knew God was still in it and enabling me to become more of a provider for my household as a man.
By 2013, the Stewarts were consistently tithing. They also put themselves on a strict budget.
I started to see us paying off the debts one by one, and things started to inspire me and motivate me and really trust Him and trust God too, that we can do this.
In January 2014, Melissa got a new job at a community college. During that year, they received a combined total of $18,000 in bonuses and raises, which they used to pay down their debt. After a 5-year commitment, they were able to pay off $229,000 of debt.
It was probably the second best day of our lives, besides our wedding day. It was amazing.
Being debt-free, it's a surreal feeling for sure. I feel a lot lighter, there's no burden, and I feel like I'm walking now into my destiny that God has promised me.
Today, the Stewarts find their fulfillment in staying debt-free and helping other couples find freedom through their fitness and financial coaching business called Fit and Fund.
You really just take that step of faith and really turn it over to God and just let it go, that He will just overwhelm you with blessings and abundance.
I believe it's important to give and to really follow God's principles, because He will bless you beyond your imagination, but most importantly, He opens up doors for you to start giving back and show others the way.
You know, as I was listening to the story of Murphy and Melissa, I couldn't help but feel the weight of debt and the pressure that brings. It literally is like a weight that can crush you. And I know in those moments, it's tempting to think, how am I ever going to get out of this? How am I ever going to be rescued from this bondage I find myself in? I can remember a time my wife and we invested in a venture that we thought was going to help transform the lives of kids all around the world. And unfortunately, one of our business partners decided to take off with all of the money. I remember receiving that news and being so devastated, because not only were we trying to do something that was really good, I wondered, God, why would you let this happen? And so I had to work through my own personal journey of debt and negotiating that, even something I didn't want for myself. I also remember at the same time, though, God placing on my heart a desire to do something more, to continue to be generous. And I remember my first instinct being, what are you talking about? I can't be generous. I don't even have enough right now to survive. But I remember in that moment, I had to make a decision. And it's a decision we all have to make when it comes to our finances. And the question is whether I'm going to choose to see with my human eyes, my human understanding, what I learned in a class somewhere, or really believe that God is my provider. See what I've learned? It's really easy to say God is good when things are good. It's really easy to say God is my provider when there's money in the bank. It's really easy to say these things, but when the rubber meets the road, when your life throws you a curveball, when you find yourself in a position that you don't want to be in and you don't know how you're going to get out, that's when your faith is tested. Not to crush you, but to elevate you. So my wife and I made the decision to trust God. And can I just tell you something? It was the best decision we ever made. I don't have time to tell you all the miracles that took place, but not only did we get out of debt, we found ourselves in a position that we couldn't even have imagined without God's incredible help and His miracle work, because He truly is our provider. And so I hope that is true for you today. Trust Him. He can be trusted in. Well, we're going to be right back with one couple who are going to share their secret of their business success.
Your CBN family has prepared something especially for you. It's a CBN Family Christmas, right in your own home. We've gathered holiday memories, miracle stories, and behind-the-scene glimpses with our hosts, all to bring you the warmth and love of the Christmas season. There'll be recipes and crafts, festive music, and family-friendly holiday films and concerts. Download the free CBN Family app and join your CBN family this season.
Photographers Megan Vaughn and her husband Mitch are living the dream, working together to capture some of the most cherished moments in people's lives. While they've worked hard to make their business successful, the credit, they say, belongs to someone else.
The doors that were opened to get us to where we are now, without a doubt, I think was a God thing.
It's not mine. It's not ours. It's always His. It's always been His.
When they married in 2011, photography was just a side gig for Megan, who was teaching full-time. Mitch was a welding engineer in the nuclear industry who was away sometimes weeks at a time. And while they hated being apart, they were determined to pay off $85,000 worth of school and car loans.
The game plan right from the get-go is we don't like owing people money, and we want to get rid of the money that we owe.
A big part of that plan was something Mitch had learned from his parents: obediently tithing and giving to God.
It was a matter of continually giving, like we had planned from the start. Like it didn't matter, what the financial situation was for the month. That was our plan. We were going to continue to give.
Megan was on board from the beginning.
As my faith grew, I knew that it would be taken care of. Like that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're called to do. So let's do it. How could something bad come from being obedient?
By keeping their spending in check and giving obediently, the couple chipped away at the debt. What they didn't expect was how Megan's business started to grow.
And then all of a sudden we would get, I would book a wedding, or somebody would decide to pay in full. And so it was just an influx that we were able to just put toward the debt again.
After 2 years, they had paid off their debt completely. Then Megan started doing so well, she was able to leave teaching and pursue it full time. Mitch started helping out shooting video when he could. In 2016, their son Max was born. Now more than ever, Mitch wanted to be home.
I want to be able to be there for those, pivotal moments in his life, growing up, his first steps or his first words. To me, no job was worth missing out on those times.
I wanted to be a team, and I miss my teammate.
All they needed now was to find Mitch another good-paying job. So they prayed and continued to be obedient with their giving and finances. Megan formed a partnership with a local wedding venue, and before long, her income had surpassed Mitch's.
I went from 13 weddings one year to 30 plus, a fully booked calendar.
By 2017, she had so much work, Mitch was able to leave his job to work with Megan full-time. Today, they're raising 2 children and shooting between 30 and 40 weddings a year, and they're thankful they can do it together.
We were obedient, and I've seen the blessing from that. I feel like as long as I continue to give my business back to Him and just fully trust that if I'm supposed to do this, He's going to make it happen.
I truly believe where we're at is because of that obedience, because of just giving back what He's given to us. We've tried to outgive God, and we have failed every single time. It's kind of a humbling moment to just kind of sit there and go, wow, this is not us. This is God.
way to go, Megan and Mitch. I just love this story because, running a small business, it's tough work. Some people think, I'd really like to have my own business because I could do whatever I want. Well, here's the reality. When you run your own business, you can't do whatever you want because you're always having to keep up with the business. And I just think that this young couple, their desire to be a good steward, to surrender everything to God and their own hard work combined, they didn't want to lose sight of what was important. I love the story in Scripture that Jesus tells, the story of the parable of the talents, rather. Basically, there's a handout of, small, medium, and large gifts, and then the master leaves, and when he comes back, he calls into account, what did you do with what I gave you? Matthew 25:21 says, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Can you hear that in the voice of the master? This is how I think this works in our life. Whether you're running a small business, whether you're working for someone else's business, whether you're, work in a big power job, in business, or whether you're sweeping the streets, doesn't matter what we do. We are called to be a steward of whatever we're given. And we have a reporting to our master. I have found, and my husband have found in our life, that when we focus on the small things and we take care of the small things, we steward the small things, even having a budget, keeping to a budget, and actually being very generous with what we're giving, that is when we find freedom and joy. And I believe God goes, yay, that's what I love. I love to see people being generous and taking care of the business I gave them. Here's a little resource called Giving and Tithing. It's free, and you can call us on the numbers on the screen, and we'll be happy to give it to you to encourage you to keep on stewarding what God's given you. Now, grab your notebook as Bill returns next with a powerful devotional on what financial freedom really looks like. I can't wait.
From everything I've learned from reading the Bible, my own personal experience, and hearing the stories of so many others, I have just learned that debt is like a prison door. But the good news is the Bible reminds us that generosity is the key. Now, I want to talk to you for a few moments about generosity, because for some of us, that just seems so far out of reach. We're just barely scraping by. So generosity, how does it really work? Well, what I've learned is that really it starts by putting God first. The first question you need to ask yourself is, where does my source come from? Where do my finances, my money really come from? I heard a story of people out to sea, and they say if you're surviving in the ocean, the worst thing you can do is drink seawater, even if you're dying of thirst, because it contains 4 times the amount of salt your body can properly process. The irony is that by trying to quench your thirst, you actually die of dehydration. And what I've learned, it's kind of like that with our money. When we look to any other source than God, we think that somehow that will satisfy that need, and it just never works. Jesus reminded us of this in Matthew 6:24, when he said, no one can serve 2 masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and wealth. And so you need to figure out where your source is first and foremost. But then second, I've learned that you have to live with an attitude of gratitude. I had a friend who told me a great story. He wanted to treat his child to McDonald's, and so he took his child out. They were sitting there. He ordered not just fries, like extra size, like the extra large fries. And as those fries were sitting in front of the child, he had the audacity, in his child's mind, to reach across and take 1 fry. And the child lost his mind. He said, those are my fries. My friend thought, really? And I think when it comes to our reality of resources, often we think that about our stuff too, don't we? This is my stuff. I worked hard for this. And then when God steps in and says, I'd really like you to be generous, we have a hissy fit. Well, that's not how this works. You've got to understand that God is your provider. He is the source. I love the way Paul says it in 1 Timothy 1:6. He said, but godliness with contentment is great gain. You see, we have to distinguish between what is a need and what is a want. When my children were 2 years old, they wanted candy. They thought that was a need, especially just before bedtime. And I, being a loving father, knew that was not a need, it was a want. And so I would deny them. Not because I didn't like them or love them and want the best for them. Quite the opposite was true. And it's the same with God. We're reminded of this in Philippians 4:19, where it says, "And God will supply every need of yours according to his riches in glory in Christ Jesus." And so I've learned to be content with what God has given me. And then, as you heard from Lori, we need to be wise stewards of what we have been given. You see, here's what I'm learning. You've got to live with an open hand. A closed fist around your stuff will always terminate itself. You must live with an open hand. And so I want to encourage you to be generous, understanding that God is my source, he is my provider, and he gives me all of these things so that I can give them away. Be blessed with that powerful truth today.
Did you know that many children who have an incarcerated parent never have the opportunity to receive a Christmas gift? Well, December 1st, Giving Tuesday, your donation of $35 will help us reach our goal of working together to give 700 Indigenous children a gift from their parent. We know together we can make a difference in the life of a child by demonstrating God's love and surprising them with a special gift this year. Don't forget, only $35 on December 1st, Giving Tuesday. God bless.
Well, I was so thankful today that we were reminded that God is our provider. And when we learn to steward our resources the way he instructs us, we can truly be generous. And that is the key to freedom from the prison of debt.
That's
really.
100% right, Bill.
Yeah.
And you and I have both learned that. When you give generously, it frees you up from focusing on yourself all the time.
100%.
Mine, my French fries.
Well, it opens up your fist, right?
Yes, exactly.
I love that.
Well, I'm excited about our partnership with, Canada Prison Fellowship Canada, and we are going to be helping 700 Indigenous children. Now, our focus on Indigenous children is very important here,
Yes.
Bill, because we want to help families in the North, those who have incarcerated parents.
Correct.
And those children, they don't have the same supports as a lot of the children that are maybe in the cities.
Right, because a lot of those churches around those prisons are helping those families. But we want to help families who will not get the help unless we step in.
That's right. So
Right.
we're asking you, would you be one of 700 people to give a $35 gift? Maybe you'll help a few children. Maybe what's 35, 70? I mean, I'm not great at math, but I know that I can multiply 35 a few times. How many families would you be willing to help with your $35 gift? Multiply that out. Go on 700club.ca/Giving Tuesday and start right now. Now, Bill, I'm going to toss this challenge over to you. Get your phone out.
All right.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Together, Bill and I are going to be one of the first people to give to Giving Tuesday. It's very simple. 700club.ca/Giving Tuesday, Bill.
Okay, I'm on it.
All right. And I won't look and see how many families you're going to sponsor, but $35 is a family, okay?
It's great. I love it.
Won't you join us in this great initiative with Prison Fellowship Canada? I just want to be able to report back that we were able to reach 700 families with our giving.
So thank you for doing that. And our power verse of today comes from Psalm 107, verse 9, where it says, "For God satisfies the thirsty."
And he fills the hungry with good things. Thanks for watching. Sign on. Be part of the 700.
To contact us, visit 700club.ca.